Hey, I'm Sigmund Brouwer. I'm an author. You can see some of my books behind me, and I am delighted the chance through the Young Alberta Book Society to introduce you to some time together with one of my lessons at the www.academy for writers. So if you like this, you can always head there and check out more. But really, I just wanted to hang out with you. And we've got lesson 2. Hey, Story Ninjas, good to see you again. I'm glad you decided to join me, and I thought I would tell you a story that opens up this book right here, Innocent Heroes, Stories of Animals in the First World War. Oh, need to put it back where, there we go. See, I went to my publisher and I said, I'd like to write about World War I. I want to make it appropriate for readers of all ages. And they said, how are you going to do that? And I said, as you could guess, well, there's some really amazing stories about animals. And every story, as you might remember from our previous time together, starts with who, where, when, and what, and then you grab us with the problem, right? That's the Rockstar Story Ninja hand. So 1918, 200 soldiers behind a hillside, 3 days into battle, and they were trapped by the enemy. Now, the problem, incoming bombs from their own guns. Nobody knew where they were, and they could look back and they could see geysers of mud as the bombs were heading closer and closer. And all they did was pick up their cell phone and, no, they didn't. Come on. 1918, World War I, yeah, no cell phone. But they had messenger pigeons, homing pigeons, and pigeons have this amazing ability to go fly in a direct line to wherever they're born and raised and fed. So one of the communication methods in World War I was a soldier would go into battle. He'd have a basket of 10 pigeons, and whenever you need to deliver a message, you rolled up a piece of paper, put it in a little canister on their leg, and let the pigeon go, and it would fly to headquarters, land on a cage, it would ring a bell, someone would walk over, see what pigeon had arrived, and the message would be delivered. They named every pigeon. They considered them little soldiers. And they were pretty brave, because the enemy was always waiting to try to stop them from getting to headquarters. Now, you can Google this story. It's a true story. Cher-ami, the pigeon, was the last pigeon. All the others had not made it through. And as the bombs landed closer and closer, they had no choice but to try one last time. They put the message in the tube, let that little bird fly in the air. It circled to get its bearings, and 3 enemy bullets knocked it to the ground. Left leg gone, blind in one eye, shattered chest muscle right here. And yet that little bird managed to fly 40 miles, 60 kilometers, delivered the message that saved all 200 lives. And when I was reading that true story, my thought was, but what happened to this little bird? I'm so happy to tell you they wrapped it in a blanket, took it to the nearest hospital, found a surgeon, explained this little soldier had saved 200 lives, and the surgeon took this bird right into the operation room, stitched it up, careful tiny little stitches, saved Cher-ami's life. And after he recovered, they brought him back, where one of the rescued soldiers had heard of Cher-ami's injuries and carved him a little wooden leg so they could tie it to his stump and it could hop around with all its friends. And I'm not even finished, and this is a true story. The French president heard about Cher-ami and gave Cher-ami the highest medal of honor that any soldier could have for bravery. And I knew that had to be the first story in my book called Innocent Heroes, because it's a great story, right? Because it grabs your feelings. That was our last discussion, and it's totally appropriate for all audiences. So today we are going to talk more about rule number 1. Who's your audience? Hey, Story Ninjas, Sigmund here. Great to be with you again. And last time we agreed, great songs are like great stories. They mess with you, and that's why it's fun to be a story ninja and mess with other people, as long as it's appropriate for that person. Rule number 1, it has to be appropriate when you mess with someone.
I mean, you may think something's funny, but it ends up hurting another person's feelings, and we don't want that because it's really cool to be kind. You know how good it feels to put a smile on someone's face, right? That's a way of messing with someone. So very soon we're going to have a pause, and you and your Story Ninja teacher can talk about how you always need to be appropriate in your behavior and through your stories.
Do we have to talk about this, really? A list of inappropriate actions that you've seen in the classroom or have been at school? I mean, look, if someone said to you, is it inappropriate to tackle someone? You'd probably go, yeah. But if it was football, it would be appropriate. But then there are times in a football game when it's inappropriate to tackle someone, right? When the play's over, tackling someone's not a good idea. So when you think through what's inappropriate, tackling someone in the middle of a play in a football field, yes. After the whistle, no. In the hallway, definitely not. Things that I've seen that are inappropriate, you know, I do rock and roll literacy presentations at schools all across North America. And in one way, it gives me a lot of satisfaction when I see this, because it tells me that this person is so engrossed in my story, they don't even know what they're doing. But on the other hand, when they're sitting there going, oh, really, really? And they're hooked in a story, and their finger goes up to their nose, and they're just digging away like they've forgotten where they were. Okay, to me, that's inappropriate. Releasing gas in an audible way when you make a big toot, probably not appropriate. You know, we could keep going with the list, but those are kind of some of the things that I've seen. And I'm wondering if you just want to list some of the things that you think are inappropriate in a school situation.
Welcome back, Story Ninjas. We are now going to talk pirate talk. Can you say this with me? Arr. If you remember pirate talk, it's going to be so much easier. R, 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 R. Right story, right time, right audience for the right reaction or feelings. You might have the best silly story in the world, but if your teacher's already read 20 silly stories, it's not the right time for it. So once you think that through, R, 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 I can promise you, you're going to be an amazing story ninja. And by the way, have you noticed when you go to the library, covers give you a real good hint who the audience is? As you look at my book covers, in your mind, try to guess what age these different covers are for. Younger, or for you guys, or for high school kids, or for grown-ups. Because that's a real clue as to the importance of audience.
I thought I'd join in with the other Sigmund. He's talking about stories, but come on, it rocks to be a story ninja. Great stories and great songs grab your feelings, which means whatever other Sigmund said about story, it applies to music. And I look deeply into her eyes and play this song right here. No! No! Some of you might be sitting there doing the old might be the right song for you right now, but come on. You think I'm going to look in the candlelight and go, oh, you fill me with butterflies. Dun, 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 dun. Not a chance. How about this one?
You give your hand to me, and then you say...
And if you're sitting there going, make it stop, well, that's exactly how your parent or teacher will feel if you give them the wrong story at the wrong time for the wrong reaction or feelings. Got it? So between other Sigmund and me jumping in like this, I hope we've made our point.
Story Ninjas, what does this mean? It means rule number one, question number one. Did I mention it was rule number one, even though I'm holding two fingers? Rule number one, who is my audience? That's the first question you need to ask yourself before even daydreaming a story. And once you know who your audience is, it has to be appropriate. And once you do that, you are going to be so good at being a story ninja.
Well, we're at the end of our time together today. Love to see you next time. And we do have an activity for you. Again, it won't involve any real writing. Yeah, you're going to have to put stuff down on paper, but it's more about delivering information. Remember, writing's a delivery system. Here's the information we'd like you to come up with. Think of 5 movies that are totally inappropriate for a 6 to 7-year-old to watch, and list why they shouldn't watch those movies. Then think of 5 more movies that are inappropriate for a 10-year-old to watch, and list why they're inappropriate. And then if you like, go ahead and list 5 more movies that are not appropriate to watch until you're 18 or 19 years old, and why you need to wait until then for those storylines to be appropriate for you. Got it? Pretty easy activity. Sit down later with your mom or dad and share with them that you've learned this. Rule number 1 and question number 1. Who's your audience? Rule number 2, when you engage their feelings, when you mess with them, you will always make sure that it's appropriate. Thanks. Oh, and by the way, remember to go to Story Ninjas with Sigmund Brouwer as a YouTube channel, and so many books are free for you to read if you have Amazon Prime. Just go there and grab some of my ebooks. Free. All right. Thanks. Well, we're at the official end. Thank you to Young Alberta Book Society. View all their other videos from all the other authors. And if you want to check out my website, here it is. See ya.